Rachael Kirkconnell says she hasn't had sex in years, and it started before the breakup. Ring talks, Tokyo drama, and a mid-air bombshell. Let's unpack it. Let's talk about a confession that set the internet on fire. Without being X-rated for even a second, Rachael Kirkconnell says she hasn't had sex in years. Yes, years. And not just since her breakup with Matt James. That revelation alone would be enough to blow up timelines. But it's what comes next that turns a headline into a story. The way a relationship that looked ready for a ring dissolved at 35,000 feet. The way forever turned into an Instagram caption. And why Rachael now says she's waiting, by choice, for something that feels rare in 2025. Intimacy with meaning. This is how it all unraveled and why she insists it had to. It starts with a simple sentence. I feel like a virgin again. But that was only the beginning. She didn't whisper it. She didn't bury it behind vague, no comments. She said the quiet part out loud. The dry spell didn't begin with the split. It started long before the farewell post and the we've decided to part language. It stretched through a relationship that Bachelor Nation assumed was marching toward vows, registries, and pastel engagement photos. Rachael framed it like this. If it's been this long, why give such a vulnerable piece of herself to someone who isn't all in? She wants connection, not just contact. And that right there is the fuse. Because if your romance looks perfect from the outside, but privately the intimacy's on ice, people are going to ask one messy, uncomfortable question. What was really going on? From the day she got that final rose, the spotlight never blinked. 4 years together, a public second chance after a rocky first split, healing in full view of the audience that met them on television. You could scroll their moments and tell yourself a calm story. Two people outlasting the noise. And for a while they did. They moved like a couple settling into a long game. Inside jokes, city hopping, quiet milestones you only notice if you're paying attention. The comments were always the same. When's the engagement? Where's the ring? It's obviously happening this year. The internet made it a countdown. Rachael says she started to believe in it too. Because behind closed doors, they weren't dodging the question anymore. They were talking about it. There's a small, brilliant joy in the way people plan a future. You make lists you never show anyone. You try on the thought of forever like a jacket, just to see how it sits on your shoulders. Rachael says they talked rings. They talked dates. They talked family. She spotted the green flags that keep you walking forward. Not grand speeches, but those normal person details couples sift through when they're seriously considering the next step. And when someone who once avoided the E word suddenly says, "Let's look," your heart does something involuntary. You exhale. You let yourself imagine the photo your grandma will put on the mantle. But sometimes the fantasy's loud and the friction's quiet. Sometimes little arguments act like magnifying glasses. They focus heat you didn't notice at first. That's what Tokyo became. A trip with too many decisions, too much content to film, too many tiny ways to rub each other wrong. It's never about lunch, not really. It's about what lunch stands for when you're both drained and no one wants to be the adult. You walk, you bicker, you skip a meal, and suddenly you're not talking about noodles anymore. You're talking about everything you've avoided for months. Back at the hotel, she says, the dam broke. Compatibility, timing, readiness, the words that leave bruises without ever raising a voice. The kind that sound logical. I should want to propose by now, but I don't. And still feel like a door slamming shut. How do you argue with someone's honesty when the honesty hurts? How do you reply when the person you love says, "I can't picture it," and you've already pictured the venue? You can't reason that away? You can only decide whether you'll accept a maybe after 4 years, or whether maybe is just no with better PR. So she made the painful call. If he doesn't see it, I can't keep standing here hoping he will. That alone would have been a quiet heartbreak, the kind you process on a red-eye home with a hoodie pulled over your face. Except that the breakup went public before her plane even leveled off. Her phone buzzed, a friend texted with question marks, and there it was, the post, the announcement. The caption that delivered their private moment to millions while she was buckling in and heading into a 12-hour stretch with no Wi-Fi. Picture this. You're pressing your head against the window, eyes burning, and the story of your love just got uploaded without your permission. There's no control, no context, and no way to call anyone. For 12 hours, you sit with your shock, your embarrassment, your heartbreak, and the knowledge that the world is analyzing a life you haven't even had time to mourn. She says that midair is where it hit her. Not just that it was over, but that the whole world found out before she had a chance to breathe. Now here's the twist. Disentangling yourself after 4 years, and then choosing not to rush into anything, doesn't make you broken. It makes you intentional. She's been blunt about what she wants going forward. Not a type, not a resume. Qualities. Considerate, respectful, supportive. A partner who lifts her up instead of asking her to shrink. Someone who claps when she wins and asks real questions when she's quiet. Someone with the emotional vocabulary to say, "I'm not ready," months before a plane, not moments before takeoff. That's why the years without sex confession matters. Not because it's salacious, but because it explains a bigger decision. If physical intimacy is a language, then the silence was saying something she couldn't ignore. It said, we're not aligned. We're not safe. We're not growing. And we can keep pretending, or we can stop performing for people who don't pay our therapy bills. She chose stop. And once you hear it like that, the choice afterward, to wait, to guard, to be picky, stops sounding like abstinence and starts sounding like self-respect. The internet keeps asking who's at fault. That's the wrong question. Fault turns human beings into case studies and love stories into court transcripts. Here's a better one. What did this teach her? She said it plainly. Stand up for yourself sooner. Don't lose your confidence trying to become someone else's idea of wife material. Don't dim your voice because you're afraid the truth might scare a person away. If the truth sends them running, let them run. The right person will hear your boundaries and think, finally, a grown-up. Of course, Bachelor Nation wants sequels. Will they get back together? She says no, firmly, not with those words in the air, not with that post on the timeline, not with her boundary freshly drawn and still tender. Forgiveness doesn't cancel history. It clarifies it. It's what lets you say, I wish you well, but you can't come back. Every time she repeats that, it stops being a headline and starts being a habit. Here's the part the comment sections always skip. Grief. When a long relationship ends, you grieve the person and the plan. The weekends you penciled in, the inside jokes you've retired, the baby names you won't use together. And when that grief gets interrupted by a viral moment, it freezes in time. You become a soundbite when what you needed was a quiet room. So she built her own quiet room. She stepped back. She got specific about what she needs. She answered the awkward questions because she knew people would ask anyway. And by saying, it's been years, she took control of the story everyone thought they were already telling for her. If you've ever waited for the right person and wondered if you're being too picky, memorize this. Standards aren't walls. They're doors. The wrong people won't open them. The right person will knock, listen, and learn the handle. Rachael isn't bargaining with fate. She isn't swearing off love. She's cleaning the lens. She's trusting that she's not late. That she didn't waste 4 years, she learned them. The next person benefits from the homework. And if your eye rolling at feels like a virgin again, remember what that actually means in her context. Not innocence, not inexperience, but intention. A reset. A fresh start where the next yes carries weight because she made 1,000 no's first. That doesn't make her a saint. It makes her a strategist with skin in the game. Her story isn't the shocking truth about a dry spell. It's an exit from a life that didn't fit, and an entrance into one where she can hear herself think. So here's where we land. A public love story ended 30,000 feet up. A private truth, years without sex, finally got daylight. The internet did what the internet does. And Rachael did something rarer. She took her time. She mourned. She learned. She refused to spin it to make anyone comfortable. She set a standard that sounds old-fashioned but feels urgently modern. Intimacy that means something or none at all. You don't have to agree with her to understand why that resonates. In a world that treats bodies like content and attention like love, patience can be the loudest rebellion. Would you wait? Would you walk away when almost keeps dangling its maybes? Would you accept being loved in public but doubt it in private? That's the conversation she's opened, whether she meant to or not. And yeah, drop your take below. Is celibacy post-breakup empowerment, self-protection both, or something else entirely? Just remember, behind every years is a person deciding what they're worth. Because at the end of the day, this isn't a story about what didn't happen in a bedroom. It's a story about what finally happened in a backbone,